Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included. In the previous episode we have built our first plastic production room. You mentioned a couple of things in the comment section that we could improve. For instance, we could bring the smart storage bin outside of the room, because if we don't, people have to wait for the oil refinery to stop being worked on in order to actually get that material. So in my opinion, that was quite a reasonable suggestion to bring this outside. However, before we take care of that, I first want to make sure we have a place for the natural gas to go. Now, we need to store this first, and then we probably are going to introduce that into our power room. At the moment, I don't think we are lacking the power. Yeah, I mean, it is now nighttime, and during the night we bring the batteries halfway down. Let's actually observe whether or not we are recovering as soon as it is daytime. And it looks as though, yes, okay, so for the first time we are actually not recovering. This is good and bad news. Well, I guess it's good news mainly, since we get to expand our power setup. Now, at the moment, my biggest enemy is going to be the accumulating natural gas, especially on the other planetoid right here. We can already see this is slowly but surely filling up, and it's actually also pretty hot. So naturally, what we could do is go with natural gas generators. This way we would also be getting some more carbon dioxide as well as polluted water just from natural gas. And we also get 800 watts of pure power. So I would say before we actually go ahead and do that, we want to bring over the natural gas. Let's actually bring it through this spot right here. And it's going to go into our teleporter. I'm not sure if the granite pipes are wise, since the natural gas is pretty hot. Actually, let's check the temperatures here. Yeah, we might actually be fine. I will have to observe it, that's for sure. Anyways, one thing we definitely need to do is have a gas element sensor here and then potentially a vent. We want to hook this up with some automation wire. And the reason we want to do that is because not always we will be getting natural gas at this point. You know, in the beginning especially, we have some oxygen here, we have some polluted oxygen, maybe eventually we're gonna get some carbon dioxide. I don't know what's going to happen, but I want to prevent anything else other than natural gas from getting through here. There we go. Let's make sure this is set to natural gas right away. Wonderful. Actually, I totally forgot. In this case, we are going to need a NOT gate. So we have to bring up the wire like so and down like so, add a NOT gate, and we should be golden. Okay, can please somebody build this gas vent? That would be absolutely amazing. Okay, so now we are gonna set this to 0 until we got rid of the oxygen. Okay, I guess at the moment the problem is this isn't completed, so my gas pipe cannot even continue here at this point. Now we are finished and this can go through. The oxygen is being filtered out. Wonderful. Okay, that should have been everything. Great. Okay, let's set this to 1,500 grams. So that's the amount of natural gas we want in there before we start pumping it all out. My cool slush geyser also started to work now, which means essentially this is below the 20 degrees mark again, so we should be able to turn this pump on. Okay, so this is just a graphical thing here at the moment that we don't see this filled up, but it is actually filled up. Let's go ahead and do another 10 steel crafts. We can always use the steel, that's for sure. In today's episode, we wanted to not only take care of the natural gas, but also our oxygen production. At the moment, I just have it right here, open in the base, and naturally, that is not a good idea, mostly because of the heat issues. So this is already pretty toasty, I have to admit, and we might want to get into the steam turbine, etc. in order to regulate that. So we are actually going to need lots more power, that's for sure. My current load is 1.79 kilowatts, and we are producing like 350 watts per solar panel, isn't it? Well, one thing we can definitely do is set up 3 more solar panels, and I think that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I mean, there's no limit on how many we can have of those, but at this point it's probably not going to be enough. Let's make sure we expand all of this all the way, and then this needs to go, that needs to go. And then, as I said, additionally, we might want to use up the natural gas. Now, what is more important? How much power does this require, for instance? Also 120 watts, and these guys are going to be running quite a bit. You know, I'm actually going to be honest. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and remove all of these remnants of the past. I just don't see a reason why they wouldn't be deconstructible. So I'm gonna have to read up again on how to do that. You actually have to change file in the documents folder, I believe. But once we've done that, we can go ahead and remove these guys, and then this is going to be my first setup of a power room. It's probably not going to be a permanent thing. As you know me, I like to have my bases a little bit modular and change things around every now and then. Anyways, I'm going to be right back once I have removed all of these guys. I just cannot take it anymore. Okay guys, I messed up a little bit. Unfortunately, I had to take a few things apart here because they were starting to overheat. The thing is, I built most of the stuff here out of copper or iron, which of course was a tremendously stupid idea since we are going above the 75 degrees overheat temperatures basically in no time. So things have started to overheat, which was pretty complicated in terms of getting these liquid reservoirs upgraded. So I had to kind of pump over the petroleum into these two. I also built 2 more reservoirs on the top here so I can bring the oil up there, and then I'm gonna replace these 2 with steel as well. The thing is, I intended to build them out of gold amalgam, and I thought that this was actually obtainable in this world, but I'm totally wrong. We haven't found any gold whatsoever. The gold is actually on the 3rd planetoid, which I cannot reach in time. I mean, eventually we're gonna get there and get all the gold, but man, that was actually a costly mistake that I made here. So for the time being, we have to actually work with steel, including the liquid reservoirs, which is a total waste of steel. But, you know, I guess eventually we won't care anymore. But this is a problem I had to address immediately. The other thing is, one electrolyzer at the moment cannot keep up. And of course, we still have the warmth issues and everything. So yeah, it is now time to react, and we have to do this quickly. For instance, we have to figure out a way to cool down the hydrogen and oxygen. I mean, what we could do temporarily is just set this up in a cold biome. Though slowly but surely I'm also running out of those. We can also see it's getting pretty hot in other scenarios, so I might want to start with a couple of cooling loops, but we first had to take care of this room. It was just overheating, and you can see on the top here we do have the solar panels built. However, with everything running, we are not gaining any more energy. In order to give me some more time, we might have to search for more algae. Yeah, I definitely want to dig all the way over here in order to get access to the algae. Let me actually do this more intelligently. Like, we want to get up here a little bit so we can definitely reach everything. We need all of that algae in order to produce some more oxygen. So at least we can take ourselves a little bit more time to deal with that situation. Is there any more algae to get? Not really. There's a little bit more over here. But yeah, I have to say I did not plan that out accordingly. Alright, then let's think about the oxygen setup. We're gonna go with a classical design, I guess, which is called the Rodriguez. In order to accomplish this, we are going to need a couple of electrolyzers, of course. We're gonna go with, I think, 4 in total. And I want to make sure I built these on airflow tiles. Next up, I'm gonna need a little platform here, and then we can continue with 2 more electrolyzers. On the right side, we should have a little bit of space in order to set up a cooling solution. I'm gonna definitely have to get rid of those ladders, and maybe, let me see, I still need to reach this somehow. Oh guys, this is a catastrophe. I did not take care of that soon enough, but at least now we should be pumping out all of the oil, so we can replace those with steel as well. Alright, wonderful. 2 electrolyzers like so. Then we are going to need a manual airlock, and I'm gonna explain my intentions with this in just a second. We are also going to need a whole bunch of gas pumps, so this is gonna be a costly contraption, and we definitely need the natural gas generators in this case. We actually built this a little bit too far. 6 pumps should be enough for this design. We're also gonna have a pump here on the top. The top one obviously is going to pump the hydrogen, and the bottom ones are gonna pump the oxygen. If I remember this correctly, we're also gonna need 2 pressure sensors, atmos sensors, in order to detect a certain amount of gases before we start pumping like a crazy maniac. So 2 more electrolyzers for you. Maybe we can already start hooking up the water. Well, I'm guessing eventually I'm gonna come from here and go through the entirety of the system and just hook everything up like so. Man, I really don't like to build these systems with time pressure in mind. That is not good, but we are in a hurry. Look at that. Even the breathability in my main base is suffering quite a bit. Just above here on the top, I want to set up a row of iron tiles, for instance, metal tiles. This is gonna help me to then cool down the room we have on the top, which is gonna consist mostly out of hydrogen generators. So we have a use for the hydrogen for the time being. In terms of gas piping, I would like to combine 2 pumps at a time, since 2 of them are going to fill up 1 packet in the pipes. We then want to go ahead and lead them through some kind of a cool down procedure to get them to approximately 20 to 30 degrees. The problem is we kind of want to make this fail-safe, and sometimes it could happen that we are pumping oxygen with this pump. It shouldn't happen too often since we have only a very narrow gap, and the hydrogen of course tends to go up and push the oxygen down. However, in certain scenarios it is always possible that we pick up the wrong gases, and we want to prevent this from happening by actually using a filter. So what we would have to do is, for instance, combine these 2 pipes, go all the way up, then make sure we are venting everything out that isn't oxygen, and only after that go through the cooling cycle. The same thing would apply right here, and then for the middle ones it's going to be a little bit more complicated, right? Because we kind of need to bring them up and still have enough space. Let's still try to plan this out. So they would be coming like so, and then we filter out the stuff right here on the top. We can do the same thing right here, filter the stuff out here on the top. And then we can do, I guess, the same thing here, but we will have to move over slightly and do that. Filter it out right at this point. So that means vent, vent, vent. And we also need a gas pipe element sensor. Needs to go right in front of the vent for each contraption. And of course, that also means we need some automation wire connecting each sensor. I do not need a NOT gate, we can just set this up to be hydrogen, so as soon as we pump up hydrogen instead of oxygen, it's gonna be vented out, and then the oxygen is going to continue in some capacity. So we could say this is gonna continue like so, the other one is gonna continue like so, and then we have the 3rd pipe that, yeah, let me lead that down below here. There we go, that should be good. Just you need a couple of bridges. Wonderful. And we have our 3 oxygen pipes that should be pure oxygen. It's still too hot at this point though. Last but not least, we have to take care of the hydrogen. So hydrogen, oh no, I don't have enough space for that either. So I have to go like that. It's not going to be the most beautiful design in that case. So we need another gas element sensor here, and then another gas vent like so, and this is for the hydrogen. So hydrogen, if it is hydrogen, is then going up, and if it isn't, it's gonna be expelled into the room again. Yeah, I think in terms of security that should actually work out. So we have 3 oxygen pipes, and then we have 1 hydrogen pipe right here. If we then go ahead and set up a bunch of hydrogen generators, how many could we do? They are like 4 wide, which means we have the space for 3 of them. And it looks as though they are 3 high. So what we could go ahead and do is put the hydrogen all the way up here. Let it vent out in order to fill up the upper room with hydrogen. Hydrogen has a very good heat transfer rate, and therefore it is the best gas usually to keep around if you want to regulate temperatures. That also means we need to take apart these ladders. Let's actually see if we can make this work. Yeah, Jean, you get yourself stuck again, don't you? She actually managed to do it. Wonderful. Okay, so this setup is gonna be in the way. Let's see our breathability. Not very good. So if I can, I need to move this up a little bit. We need to keep this in place, basically. Ah, man, this is gonna be an absolute horror. So we just replicate what we have here on the top so I can take the lower one apart. Yes, guys, we can totally do it. Okay, slowly but surely things are coming along. I'm actually really glad about that. We also have almost drained our oil reservoir, so we should be able to take those apart, and I already have another 1,500 kilograms of steel ready. Okay, move my electrolyzer upstairs, and slowly but surely we are making a little bit of progress. It is now probably time to check out the spacing of our hydrogen generators, and yes indeed, it adds up perfectly. Another thing we will have to take care of is powering all of these things, and in order to do that, we might actually have to route the main cable here. The way we're gonna approach this is probably lead the cable through here. So we're gonna need a heavy watt joint plate. Gonna build this right there. Next up, we want to lead the cable down into the next room. For symmetry's sake, I'm actually gonna do it like so. This is gonna go through here and power up the hydrogen pump as well as the electrolyzers. We're gonna need a 3rd joint plate in order to be able to get down there. So this way we will be able to power up all of the pumps. And for now, to connect this, I'm gonna lead a power cable all the way up there. Okay, that might actually just work out. Man, we are nowhere yet. Man, I really hope nobody's gonna die from this. At least it looks a little bit better in our secondary base already. That is good. Natural gas is progressing. Oh man, good times, but what a stressful thing to do right off the bat. Also, thinking about this, in the beginning we might want to set up another ventilation system in order to get the initial oxygen out of there. And we might want to reroute this cable here as well. Oh man, so many things to think about. Additionally, we will have to set up a temporary liquid lock in order to make this work. So that is exactly what is going to happen here. And that probably means we can also close this off already. There's going to be a little bit of heat leaking, but I don't think it's going to be that bad. You know what? I might actually do this differently. So instead of leading the cable through here, we're going to lead it through there. Yeah, that's going to be better. So that's coming down here, joining up with you, and we still have everything connected. Yeah, I have to say, this is definitely one of the most stressful builds that I've ever done in Oxygen Not Included, because of negligence, basically. But you know, these things happen. At least now we can replace both of these liquid reservoirs as well. The cool slush geyser is actually doing its work, cooling down everything again below the 20 degrees mark, so that is good as well. So I think we bought ourselves a little bit of time to actually make this work. Now in this liquid lock, I'm actually only gonna need a tiny amount of water since I want to remove this immediately again. So that should already work out, blocking the gases. So as soon as I got this framework built, as a matter of fact, let's actually speed things up a little bit here. This is important that you close off this room ASAP so that we can start pumping it out. I'm actually even gonna set up a secondary pump so we can do this really quickly. Yeah, it's now definitely getting too toasty in certain regions. However, as soon as we pump everything full of 20 degrees oxygen, we should be able to counteract this issue. Wonderful, that is in place. Room is being pumped out of oxygen, that's good. And now we're just finishing the rest. You know, I have a tiny bit of space in order to set up another security measure, and I think I'm gonna do that. Just a simple switch and automation wire, so I can stop my pumps and electrolyzers from working when I want to. All of the filters are in place, so what we have to do in case we pick up some hydrogen here, we want to make sure it is being vented out again. So hydrogen for this one, we can copy the setting for this one and this one. However, this guy here needs to be oxygen, which we find obviously under breathable gas. Because if the hydrogen pump is pumping out oxygen, we want to vent it out again. So that should be taken care of now. With everything built in here, I think I might want to make this look a little bit nicer, even though, you know, that might be crazy. It is actually crazy, but I really want to. So what we might be able to do is grab a little bit of mafic rock and actually start filling this up. What do you think about that? I think it's a total waste of time, but just because we are in a hurry, I don't want to sacrifice everything else. Okay, I might regret this, but let's freaking do it. Alright guys, it is now actually the next day for me. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to wrap up the episode before my dentist's appointment where I had to take out one of my wisdom teeth that unfortunately was stuck quite a bit. So right now when I talk too enthusiastically, I'm actually starting to bleed, which is why I'm probably going to wrap up today's episode prematurely. I might have to rest for one day before I can start to properly talk again. Anyways, you can see we now have the drywall all in place. I also pumped out the oxygen from the upper room. So theoretically, there's not much left to do except for making the cooling solution. Considering this is going to be our division here, this is going to be our dividing wall. Maybe, yeah, I think we should already be able to do it. Hopefully nobody gets trapped in here. But considering that, we have all of that space in order to cool down 3 pipes of oxygen. Now, actually thinking about this, I might want to lead the water through here instead of my cooling solution. That might be a little bit better. And then we are just gonna go straight through there. Yeah, that should actually work out. So I'm gonna need a little more access in order to take this pipe apart. I want everything to be nifty and tidy, so it's going to work in the end. Now, how are we going to cool things down? Well, first and foremost, we are going to need a whole bunch of metal tiles. Fortunately enough, I do have plenty of iron at my disposal, so this is going to be the dimensions of my metal tiles. And through the metal tiles, we want to use a whole bunch of liquid pipes. So it's going to go through a aqua tuner setup. If you have never heard of the aqua tuner, well, I would be surprised since I'm explaining way less in this series than in the previous one where I kind of started a let's play also suited for beginners. But you know guys, you only have to tell me in the comment section and I'm gonna answer you. Anyways, the aqua tuner is going to take liquid and it's going to make it 14 degrees colder than it currently is, and it's going to emit that heat into the surroundings. So what we want on top of here is an aqua tuner with water so it can heat up into steam, and on top of it we're going to have a steam turbine to convert that heat into power. At the bottom then we're going to run through the cold liquid. And we want to do this with radiant pipes. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is something like that. We're going to go down and up again. Just snake our way through all of the metal tiles using radiant pipes. And in the end, we're going to end up somewhere here where we are going to lead it into the aqua tuner again in case it needs to be cooled down. Take those pipes apart so I can finish my snake. Wonderful. Mima actually managed to get trapped. I just don't believe these guys. They never get it. Gene, I'm really not surprised. I'm really not surprised. There we go. Okay, nobody is trapped. Wonderful. Let me actually shut this off for a little bit. All the machines are shut off. That is great, which means I can also finally connect this cable. However, now we basically have to do the same thing with our gas pipes, and we need to have like the same amount of space for each of the pipes so we can cool them down more or less evenly. So we also want to go with radiant gas pipes, and this time around it might be best to go with steel, even though that is costly, but it is the most conductive material, so we can ensure this is actually going to go rather quickly. So if we move over here, that's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4 pipes, 5 pipes, and then we could go down. Let me think. So if we just go down like that, it would be 7, 8, 9, 10 pipes. I don't think we can get 10 for each of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh my gosh, we actually did it! It's 10 cooling pipes for each of the oxygen paths. This is actually really good. So then in the end we would end up with something like that. We have our 3 outputs. Let me actually get those over here. Okay, and then we distribute it around the world. One of the pipes is going to go exclusively into the second world, and then the other 2 pipes are going to be responsible for my setup here. This is absolutely amazing. Let's keep on building the metal tiles. I think, yeah, let's just do one row after another. That's what I'm talking about. Keep on building, my minions. Wonderful. By the way, I decided to make this room a little bit smaller. Not necessary to have this a 4-high room. I just want to save on space wherever possible. Looks like I ran out of iron. That is not good. I need to craft a little bit more. Give me 30 crafts of iron, please. Thank you. But look at that. We are actually almost done. Just hang on a second with that. I need to take some of these tiles apart that switched to copper. This is going to be absolutely lovely. So the only thing that's really missing is the aqua tuner room. There we go. That should actually already be enough to finish it. Yep, I ended up with 0 iron left, but it's going to be totally worth it. And it's a fairly compact design, you know, considering everything. Alright, great. I'm going to build the cooling solution in the next episode since I have to rest a little bit for the reasons mentioned. But what we can do in the beginning is just get things started. So let's say we only want to start pumping this pump here, the hydrogen, when we register a pressure of at least, let's say, let's just do 500 grams. We might have to adjust these in the future. And we're gonna do the same thing here at the bottom. 500 grams is gonna be the minimum. And wait, no automation. Are you freaking serious? Yeah, that's gonna bother me. We need to get in there once again. Okay, that's kind of unfortunate. Sorry, guys. This also means we should slowly but surely connect these. Okay, and I'm gonna have to take that apart. Man, okay, I forgot a couple of things. So I'm actually going to forget about the automation wires that are already set up, including the switch. We're not going to do that. I initially wanted to implement that to prevent things from getting started before I'm ready. But the way we're going to do this now is just deconstructing this wire. And if I'm not mistaken, yeah, we can just set up a power shutoff. That might be the better solution. We might want to set up a switch here as well, so I can steer it this way. So this way, I'm just taking away the power in order to shut off everything, right? What we of course need is a direct connection from the Atmos sensor to the pumps. So that's how we're gonna do it. I just took apart these wires for nothing. Power shutoff is in place, so can I just lead this through here now, and then I can tell this to shut off? Also, the atmo sensor should kick in if the pressure is above the mark I set it to. Okay, once again, sweep up everything and then we can close off this room. Ooh, nice. Okay, we actually got some more algae in the print pot, which means I get a little more time to mess around. So if we actually go ahead and spawn this in the second world, this is gonna give me enough time to build the cooling solution before we have to get things started. So now I don't feel too bad about it. Let's see. Okay, so that's really how it's working. Fantastic. So I can just shut this off and now I'm not providing any power to it. Great. I forgot about this pipe. There's always something. Well, I guess we have to deconstruct at least one of those in order to make a little bit of a mess. Oh, guys, it's never ending. And now the water is trapped in my manual airlock, which means it's gonna dribble down again, except maybe I can sweep it up. But yeah, we now have to empty this pipe somehow. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. And we do that as well. And of course, it dribbled down. So open this mess up again and mop it, please. Ah, jeez. I also noticed we could have made this a little bit more elegantly. And I think I'm not gonna be lazy and poke into here. Give the system its deserved dignity. Wow, so many mistakes. Okay, checking again. Power is good at the moment. We might have to wait for some carbon dioxide to get out of there. Otherwise, we are always filtering it out in the same room. So I think what I'm actually gonna end up doing is take apart maybe 2 of these tiles and then build up a ladder here. So I can build these tiles from the bottom again once the carbon dioxide has escaped. Anyways, I got my cooling pipes and we also have the pathways for all of the gas pipes. That is good. For the time being, in order to give myself enough time to actually do everything, we are just going to vent the hot oxygen out into the base. And then the next time around, we should also get that under control. It's not that bad yet. It's like around 40 degrees in most parts. Ruby, you absolute moron. Oh my gosh, this is absolute the worst. Okay, just waiting for the carbon dioxide to escape. So we have this a nice and clean room. And hold the phone. Did I just see that correctly? There's a little bit of water. This escape is killing me. There we go. This should now work out. And it was about time. Let's have a look at the breathability. Oh dear. So everything is in place as it should be. Let's give this contraption a little bit of power and see it function. This room up here should be filling up with hydrogen very soon. Oh, actually some oxygen made it through here. Yeah, I think for the most part we are now sorting things out. The problem with these contraptions is always if you don't have a steady flow. Hold the phone. How can so much oxygen get through here? Only hydrogen should get through here. I see, of course. Maybe if the pressure is too high in certain spots, that could be a reason. So the vent doesn't actually turn on since it is overpressured, you know? So actually maybe we set this to 100 grams of pressure. So we pump as soon as possible. So 100 grams. And we want to make sure the vents never overpressure, right? Okay, I think for the most part we are fine. I'm still seeing some overpressure here, and this is when the setup is going to fail sometimes. However, I wanted to fill up the upper room mostly with hydrogen, which soon is going to happen. It's also giving us some extra energy at the moment. Maybe for the time being we disable these generators and just let the room fill up with the hydrogen. But yeah, I can kind of see the problem here. If we overpressure these vents, of course the oxygen cannot flow steadily. So maybe a better idea would be to go ahead and do something like that. So this is gonna go ahead and bridge over here instead. And we're gonna take the second vent, bring it somewhere down below here maybe. That is a good idea. This also means I should be able to get rid of this setup. So I'm not gonna need any of this shebang anymore. Yeah, this can just go. And so if we distribute this a little bit randomly, then we are not gonna have as many failure points. But yeah guys, with that out of the way, let's wrap it up for today. I need to rest and we are going to continue with that hopefully already tomorrow and find a cooling solution, because at the moment of course it's also going to be hot oxygen and we don't want that. But with that out of the way, thank you so much for watching guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to support the video, leave a like, maybe even subscribe if you haven't yet. You would do me a huge favor. But have a great day and hopefully I'm gonna catch you soon. Bye bye.